They are plant, and the water has already washed everything. Nothing remain there. Both banana and everything, all is.
The disaster has affected us. We would be glad if government can help us.
Scores of households have been rendered homeless, with buildings leveled to the ground. Members of the households struggle to salvage what is left of their personal effects from the rubble of their buildings.
About 15 hectares of farmland were destroyed. More than 30 houses were destroyed as well. People, you can see them, they are homeless now. We are calling on the governments to come and assist the farmers and these people who lose their houses and properties.
I am hopeful that Allah will assist me to rebuild again.
Critical infrastructure, such as this newly constructed bridge and high-tension poles, are amongst national assets giving way as the flood digs through the earth. Iliasu Onotu Yakubu, NTA News.
Federal Capital Territory Abuja is one of the major flood-prone areas in the country that usually get devastated by floods, with many casualties year in, year on. As a result of this incessant hazard, the FCT Emergency Management Agency and the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA have agreed to strengthen collaboration. This agreement was reached when the DG FCT SEMA paid a visit to the DG NEMA in his office. Ilyasu Aliyakubu reports.
These collaborations suggested many options and solutions expected to mitigate the high risks of flooding and other associated hazards in the FCT. One of which is the hazard mapping of the FCT and the constitution of the local emergency committee by the FCT SEMA for rapid response in cases of disaster in the area. The two bosses agreed that the growing population of the FCT calls for closer collaboration between stakeholders to safeguard the well-being of the people and the valuable national heritage. The meeting also suggested the establishment of disaster risk management studies in various universities across the country to improve the capacities of stakeholders in the business of disaster management.
It has been on record that NEMA, in collaboration with FEMA and relevant stakeholders, have partnered and provided timely response and the evacuation of affected persons during emergencies in the FCT.
The local divers are the first responders we live in their own locality. So because of that, we have to think ahead and bring in the local divers.
The meeting promised to promote the culture of disaster risk reduction and building of communal resilience in the FCT. In Abuja, Ilyasu Aliyakubu, NTA News.
Away from natural disaster to security now, the Nigerian Air Force says one of its Alpha jets on reconnaissance mission under Operation Hadarindaji has foiled an attempt by suspected bandits to kidnap 16 persons. NAF's Director Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Edward Gapquet, says the incident occurred approximately 19.5 nautical miles southwest of Gusau town, precisely between Magami and Tofa in Zamfara State. The recon crew in the NAF Alpha jet cited suspected bandits on 5 motorcycles who had blocked Magami-Gusau Road in an ongoing attempt to kidnap commuters, as indicated by 4 empty vehicles, including red and grey Golf Volkswagen sedans. On sighting the Alpha jet, the bandits abandoned their motorcycles and fled into the bush, while the commuters ran back to their vehicles, with the aircraft providing close cover to ensure safety of both passengers and other citizens. Anyone with useful information about the bandits is encouraged to reach out to relevant authorities. In the meantime, the Buhari Media Organization, BMO, has commended men, officers and commanders of the Nigerian Armed Forces for their intensified superior fire, power and sustained aerial bombardment of terrorist camps and their safe havens. BMO says these feats are the reasons more insurgents are laying down their arms and surrendering to the troops. Also, it recalls that last week, 28 Boko Haram terrorists surrendered to troops of 73 and 202 battalions of the Nigerian Army in Bama, local council of Borno State. In addition, 22 leaders of some bandits units terrorizing residents and villages in Zamfara, Katsina, Niger, Kaduna, and other states in the northwest and north central discreetly reached out to the military authorities, seeking amnesty as the forests are no longer safe for them. BMO urged the military to maintain this momentum and also expressed optimism that continuous achievements on this will bring insurgency to an end sooner than expected. Let's move over to Plateau State, as the Plateau State Governor Simon Bako Lalong has expressed regret that despite the huge investment of the state in enhancing the capacity of security agencies in the state to confront criminals, the attacks on communities, particularly in Bassa and Riom, have not stopped. Governor Lalong, who was speaking at the Kokin headquarters Jos during the dedication of 4 books published by Kokin President Reverend Dacholom Datiri. In a statement by his Director of Press and Public Affairs, Dr. Makut Simon Macham, the governor said the recent attacks in Bassa and Riom local government areas were regrettable and coming shortly after the state government spent resources to purchase and distribute 50 patrol vehicles and 200 motorcycles to the security agencies. Lalong, while sympathizing with the people, said the time has come for everyone to provide the first line of security by gathering intelligence, passing same to security agencies, as well as taking necessary steps to guard against vulnerability. He vowed to continue to fight insecurity and promote peace building. In the meantime, Operation Safe Haven has described as false a media report alleging that its troops do not respond or counter attacks in Plateau State and environs. A statement by the military information officer of OPSH, Major Ishaku Takwa, says the allegation is false and an attempt to malign the image of troops determined to restoring peace in troubled areas of the state. Major takes note that OPSH is a joint military operation involving other security agencies whose mandate is to bring lasting peace on the plateau and environs, stressing that troops have and will always counter attacks in the area. The statement enjoined the public to cooperate with security agencies by providing credible information that will aid proactive counter-operation. We take you over to Katsina now, where the Katsina Area Command of the Nigeria Customs Service has strengthened its operations along illegal to the country, leading to the interception of smuggled vehicles and other contrabands with duty value of over 60 million naira. Acting Controller of the Command, Daluawada Chide, who disclosed this while displaying the seized items, said the success was recorded within few weeks of renewed strategies. Shehu Adamu reports.
Despite federal government efforts toward rejuvenating the nation's economy through the introduction of ease of doing business and trade facilitation policies, criminal elements within the society still engage in economic sabotage. To suppress the trend, therefore, the Katsina Area Command of the Nigerian Customs Service intercepted 13 vehicles either smuggled into the country or served as means of conveying contraband.
We are not relenting. As they change strategies, as they pursue, they go ahead with their own tactics. We always come up with strategies, which we always try to counter them, and we are succeeding.
Controller Al-Hawada Chedi explained that the smuggled items were intercepted along the illegal border routes and reiterates the determination of the command in fighting smuggling activities to protect the country's economy. In Katsina, Shehu Adamu, NTA News.
In other news, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, has seized more than 8,000 kilograms of assorted illicit drugs, including cocaine, heroin, tramadol, methamphetamine, and skunk, among others, in a week-long coordinated raids across 7 states, which ran from 1st to 7th of August 2021. In a statement by Director Media and Advocacy of the agency, Femi Babafemi, the raids conducted in Ondo, Akwa Ibom, Adamawa, Enugu, Bauchi, Edo, and Anambra states led to the arrest of 15 drug dealers, including a woman on wheelchair. The week-long exercise was aimed at mopping up illicit drugs in the affected states as part of the ongoing offensive action ordered by Chairman of the NDLEA, Brigadier General Muhammad Buba Marwa, against all drug cartels across the country. The raid also led to the arrest of a 26-year-old with 1.2031 kilograms of crack cocaine, making it the biggest cocaine seizure in the history of the state. Meanwhile, different quantities of tramadol, methamphetamine, and skunk going to the UK, Australia, New Zealand, and UAE have been intercepted in two Korea firms in Lagos by narcotic officers of the Directorate of Operation and General Investigation in the agency. You are still watching the news at 10 live on NTA News 24. When we return, Vice President Osinbajo wants state governments to give maximum support to SMEs in their states. Do stay tuned. Thank you for staying with us on the news at 10 on NTA News 24. And now, talking security again, the Nigerian police force has arrested 6 girls and a boy between ages of 17 and 20 in Benin City, scheduled to be trafficked to Libya, Tunisia, and Abuja, lured with the promises of lucrative jobs on arrival. Ovie Oyakuri reports.
These young ones went for a birthday bash in Benin when someone solicited if they would be willing to go abroad to work. They all accepted the offer. This decision, majority of them made without their parents' consent. Immediately, arrangement was made and they were conveyed to a house where they were kept for days, and occasionally someone provided them with provisions. The same person allegedly perfected arrangements for transfer to the countries they would visit. The secondary school girls drawn from Edo and Delta were given hijabs as a way to disguise.
It's in Abuja. They found to killing now nurse and Asge. Now, cause okay, now Asge me what do? Cause no problem. How can me they come break? How can me go meet sister? Cause show me sister. Sister cause okay, no problem. Me want trouble. So how can me go? All these guests for hotel for the stay.
There was a breach in communication between those in the camp and their facilitators, and according to them, they decided to opt out from the planned trip, and they were then intercepted by the police. For the only boy in the midst of these girls, he was told that his final destination is Libya by his sister's friend, who is still on the run. The state's police boss has stated that these young ones will be handed over to the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, immediately, as it is a clear case of human trafficking.
Conveying 6 girls and they are mostly minors being trafficked by one Geoffrey.
The Nigerian police have assured the public that more investigation will be carried out to bring all the culprits to book. In Benin, Ivie Oyakiri, NTA News.
From Benin, we take you to Niger State, where Niger State government has confirmed the kidnap of its State Commissioner for Information and Strategies, Mohammed Sani Idris. In a statement issued by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Mary Noel Baje indicates that the Commissioner was kidnapped by bandits at about 1 a.m. on Monday morning at his country home, Babantunga, in Tafa local government area of the state. The statement added that security operatives are already on the trail of the bandits with a view to apprehend them. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has described the micro, small and medium enterprises as the hope and future of the nation and advises states to join the federal government by giving maximum support to the businesses operating in their states in order to achieve desired growth. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
The federal government has always emphasized the place of small and medium-scale enterprises as the engine of growth. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo joins other participants at this inaugural lecture, says it is in recognition of the importance of the micro, small and medium enterprises that government is committed to giving necessary support in various forms to private business operators in Nigeria.
Development Bank has agreed to support the government with $500 million for small businesses in technology in particular. And so we think that this is something that will be very helpful indeed. In addition to a $75 billion fund which the federal government has set up also for young people and small businesses. We must keep working on small businesses because that certainly is the future of our country.
The growth of SMSEs is said to determine the development of countries, given the fact that critical mass of people in such countries are captured within this net. And the outcome of researches on small business operations in Nigeria, Professor Oluseyi Oduyoye, in his inaugural lecture says only a fraction of business ventures in Nigeria make it to the top and transform into big business.
SMEDA should be refurbished to do what it was meant to do by way of support to small businesses. Insurance, in order to mitigate the losses of small businesses, should be encouraged.
The event was the 33rd inaugural lecture of the Babcock University, titled From the Small Business to Big Business, a Future with Little Hope. From Ilishan in Ogun State, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Two deserving public servants who have been exceptional in acts of integrity will be selected for the Public Service Integrity Award, which will be presented by President Muhammadu Buhari at the 3rd National Summit on Diminishing Corruption in the Public Sector. The National Summit on Diminishing Corruption, an annual event organized by the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation in collaboration with the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, is designed to review and update efforts in the fight against corruption, especially in the public sector, as part of the anti-corruption agenda of the present administration. In a circular signed by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, all ministries, departments and agencies are therefore required to forward one nomination each to ICPC, providing a profile of the nominee as well as a brief description of the act of integrity carried out by the officer in not more than 500 words. The best two nominees, according to the circular, will be selected for the Public Service Integrity Award. All such nominations from MDS should reach ICPC on or before Monday, 16th of August, 2021. The need to entrench the principle of zero tolerance to corruption at all levels has become pertinent if the effort by the federal government to sanitize the system must be actualized. This was the consensus of stakeholders at the 2021 Savicom Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit Sensitization Workshop organized by the Nigeria Immigration Service in Owerri. Beatrice Anyam reports.
The need to achieve quality service delivery necessitated the organization of this workshop, put together by the Nigeria Immigration Service for the Savicom and the Anti-Corruption and Transparency Units. It is further intended to drive home the commitment of the establishment to attitudinal change and zero tolerance to corruption.
At any point you begin to notice that anything is not right, you as a patriot, as somebody who has the interest of this country at heart, you have to raise an alarm.
We want the average immigration officer to be equipped with the necessary skills with which to render selfless, efficient, and professional services to members of the public.
Stakeholders from other agencies in their various remarks agreed that the fight against corruption should be everyone's business. They stressed the need to put in place strategies to achieve a crime-free society.
As you're not doing the right thing, which he has said this morning, it is corruption.
Some participants say the lessons learned will guide their actions henceforth.
There are a lot of things I assumed that is normal, but in this workshop, I've come to understand that they are not normal.
I've also learned that I should not find my way in any corrupt activity in the job.
The workshop is expected to be held across the country. In Owerri, Beatrice Anyam, NTA News.
Minister of Defense Bashir Magashi says the threat in Nigeria's maritime domain is surmountable with collective efforts from stakeholders that will translate to economic prosperity for all. This comes as the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Awal Gambo, is optimistic that the 2031-2030 interagency collaboration in the maritime is yielding positive results. Kinsley Amajiri reports.
The minister, represented by a permanent secretary in the ministry, Stephanus Musa, spoke at the unveiling of gunboats, houseboats, high-tech interceptor cameras, and surveillance drones donated to the Nigerian Navy by a private firm in Port Harcourt. The minister also tasked the Nigerian Navy to effectively deploy these military hardware to create better economic atmosphere for all stakeholders in the industry.
I'm therefore pleased to note that the platforms being donated today will further boost the Navy's maritime security efforts.
This time we talk about giving credible support to the armed forces and security agencies. This is precisely what we're talking about.
Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Gambo, was delighted with the bold initiative spearheaded by a private organization to complement efforts of Nigerian security forces at containing activities of oil thieves and pirates.
The desire to safeguard the vast expanse of the nation's maritime domain from all forms of threats for socio-economic activities to thrive prompted the Nigerian Navy to collaborate with critical maritime stakeholders.
Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike, represented by the Secretary to the State Government, Tami Danagogo, called for enhanced security of national assets and protection of interests of operators in the industry. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
Yeah, still on to the news at 10, live on NTA News 24. More on the maritime sector when we return.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices, as well as social distancing. As individuals,
the NOA, for example, has succeeded a great deal in sensitization during the pandemic, and we have found the community mobilization officers most effective in the sensitization and in the advocacy campaigns, creating awareness on the coronavirus pandemic. We have done this through the production of jingles, which were very widely distributed in different languages, in English, in Hausa, in Yoruba, in Igbo, in Tiv, in Igala, in Kanuri, in Fulfulde, in Ijo, in Isoko, in Bini. In talk of any other language you can think of, we had translated sensitization messages.
This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Arise, O Nigerians! Let's applaud the courage of Flight Lieutenant Abayomi Dairo, aka the Aggressor, for his skillful and dogged escape from the bloodthirsty bandits in the forest of Zamfara State. 3 hearty cheers also to all military and security personnel who are tirelessly protecting fellow Nigerians from insurgency and banditry while maintaining peace and order. Nigerians are proud of Abayomi Dairo and all our gallant men and women in uniform for sacrificing so much to keep us safe. We admire your courage and we say thank you. God bless the armed forces. God bless Nigeria. This message is from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
This is the network service of the NTA.
You will have to jump off a cliff just knowing that you will not crash. Let me tell you, everybody has their baggage and everybody has their demon. So you might as well deal with your own demon and everything will work out fine. If you're not in control of your emotions will be in control of you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Emotions with Omenasa. This is a show where I encourage you and I enlighten you to take control of your emotions, because if you do not control your emotions will control you. Thank you once again for tuning in. Today, our topic is self-esteem and body image. Self-esteem and body image. What made me actually choose this topic is because I get a whole lot of people, men, women, who call me all the time and they send me emails and WhatsApp messages to counsel them. And here I am thinking, okay, I'll be counseling them on maybe like depression or suicide or, you know, all these common topics that most people go through. But it has shocked me of recent that people are really, really worried about their self-image, about how they look, and how that actually affects them in getting a job. You will be shocked that some people cannot get a job simply because of how they look. And that's really not the context in which I'll be talking about today. The context in which I want